So I was listening to a podcast recently, and the woman said, "Oh yeah, that's an instant cure for selfishness." And I thought she was talking about service in recovery, because they had been talking about that, but they had shifted to talk about parenting. And that's actually what she was talking about, that parenting makes you quickly unselfish. But for sure, so does service. I came into the recovery process almost 3 years ago, very selfish, and also not a very good listener, and not very empathetic, and very judgmental. Probably go hand in hand. And all those things have been virtually cured or learned. And the big one is unselfishness. And I now say that extends to being really ready to be in a healthy relationship, which I really have not fully been in the past. I've always been pretty much out for myself ever since becoming the middle child at birth, I guess. So, as far as service, they say service entails helping others as a means of reinforcing our own recovery. And I didn't realize that coming in. If you're an AA person, you probably heard them say that all the time about the power of service, but I didn't know that. I'd only been to a handful of AA meetings, but yeah, helping others absolutely helps yourself. Luckily, I learned that instinctually pretty quickly, but that's why I'm here to help you, or to tell you so you don't have to learn your own. I just very quickly gravitated towards taking tons of notes, which a lot of people do on sobriety calls, and then really trying to share what I learned and impart my wisdom, and eventually turned into essentially amateur coaching, which I really love to do to help support people. Phone calls and texts, helping people that were at where I once was. And that really helped keep me sober as well, which is a great quote I heard. A guy say, service keeps you sober. And he said, if you get the gift of sobriety and don't give it back, you're a shoplifter. How good is that? I should have Googled that to see if it was attributed to anybody, but that is a gem. So, by supporting those who are also struggling and cheering on their wins and their progress, you not only contribute, positively to their lives, but also you gain perspective and purpose in your own recovery. And it doesn't have to be anything major. Even small acts of kindness and honesty have a significant impact, which I borrowed that quote as well. Just like doing a good deed of the day. Every time I drive, I try to let drivers out, particularly if they're just going across me in traffic. So I don't have to worry about them getting in front of me and maybe being really slow. But if they're just crossing me at a traffic light, taking a left, all you gotta do is tap your brake and flash your lights, and boom, most people will go. And if they don't, screw them, then I keep going. But yeah, good deed of the day. You feel good about yourself, which also lends to the whole key of recovery, which is gaining self-love. So, what are some examples? Sharing is a huge one. Sharing not only helps yourself, but helps others. It doesn't matter what you say. I always say you'll be proud you said it, and it's going to resonate with someone. One person once said the most beautiful thing in the world is to help other people step outside their comfort zone, to be vulnerable. Well, by them sharing and stepping outside their comfort zone, they'll be vulnerable in ways that'll make others feel they can do it too. And, another person said, my favorite is seeing the light that comes on in someone else's eyes after they've realized this is possible. And then seeing their light spread like wildfire throughout their circle. And that's why we recover out loud, to show others it is possible, and to do service. How you make others feel is such an important part of life. I love the thought of living your life to make others feel good. I want to be someone that somebody misses. I used to think I'd have a very short line at my wake. Now I'd love to think it'd be pretty long, at least a virtual wake, because I have spent a lot of time in service to others. And I love the concept of the ripple effect, where when you create a difference in someone's life, you not only impact their life, but everyone influenced by them throughout their entire lifetime. So no act is ever too small. And that's really what I have to say on the topic. I mean, if you Google, the power of service, it'll tell you so many other things that I'll, quickly whip through. But things like shifting your focus and preventing relapse, building self-esteem and purpose, fostering community support, Promoting gratitude, so key to recovery, and a positive outlook, reducing isolation and stress, creating structure and routine, and boosting mental and emotional well-being. All true. And, examples of service, I mentioned sharing, but also sponsoring in the case of AA, and a couple more on mentoring, similar to sponsoring. In my world, we don't call it sponsoring. It is more mentoring, even like I call it amateur coaching, being someone's accountability partner, and overall just sharing your experiences with others. It can also be volunteering and doing peer support groups as well. I'm going to get my peer support certification, and I may end up going into coaching as well, and I'm going to do a future video on the power of getting a good sobriety coach. And then for a lot of us that want to end up trying to find work, no longer fit in the corporate world, a lot of people go into jobs in sobriety, and coaching is certainly one of them. So this is also, you can be looked at as service, as practice for various vocations in sobriety. Definitely has worked for me. All right, that'll do it. Stronger, sober, and please like, share, subscribe. Thanks. Service it out.